Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a topic that's, well, about as personal as it gets, but also has huge global importance. We're talking about reproductive health.
So, how much does our biology really steer the ship when it comes to our biggest life choices? In this explainer, we're going to get into the fundamentals of reproductive health, from the very blueprint of our bodies to the choices and, the challenges that can define our lives.
All right, so to really get a handle on the choices we make, we've got to start with the basics, right? The blueprint. Let's dig into the biological systems that make it all happen.
Okay, so when you break it down, human reproduction really comes down to two incredibly complex and complementary systems. You have the female system, which is built to produce eggs and, just as importantly, nurture a fetus. And then you've got the male system, which produces sperm. It's the way these two systems work together that makes it all possible.
You can think of the menstrual cycle as the engine driving female fertility. It's this monthly rhythm of hormones that prepares the body for a potential pregnancy. And the main event here is ovulation, which usually happens about 2 weeks before the next period. That's when an egg is released, and it's a pretty small window of opportunity.
And understanding that rhythm, well, that's everything. Because knowing how this works gives us the power to make real, informed choices about family planning.
So check out this number, 99.1%. That means in the US, pretty much all sexually active women will use some form of contraception during their lifetime. This just goes to show you this isn't some fringe topic, it's a fundamental part of modern life.
Now, what's really interesting when you look at these options is the trade-off, right? Look at the huge difference in failure rates. You've got things like IUDs and implants that are almost foolproof. We're talking less than a 1% failure rate, mostly because they take human error out of the equation. But then you have condoms. Their typical failure rate is much higher, but they do something none of the others do: protect against STIs. It's a perfect example of how there's no single best method for everyone. It's all about what's most important to you.
So what happens when contraception isn't an option, or when it fails? Well, induced abortion is one path people can take. And as you know, it's easily one of the most intensely debated topics in all of reproductive health.
And this quote really just cuts right to the heart of the whole ethical debate, doesn't it? So much of the conversation comes down to this one central conflict: the rights of the woman versus the rights of the fetus.
Okay, so let's shift gears. For those who do make the choice to have a child, a whole new journey begins. And this journey, pregnancy, is one that really requires dedicated care to get the best possible outcome.
So, why is prenatal care so important? Well, it is absolutely crucial. We're not just talking about routine checkups. It's about keeping a close eye on the health of both the mom and the baby. This proactive care means doctors can spot potential issues super early, and that dramatically improves the chances of a healthy outcome for everyone.
It's pretty incredible to think about, right? Over about 40 weeks, a fertilized egg becomes a fully developed baby. You can break it down into 3 stages. The first trimester is super delicate. That's when all the major organ systems start to form. Then in the second trimester, it's all about rapid growth, especially the brain. And by the third, the main goal is just to pack on weight and get ready for birth.
And look, the care doesn't just stop once the baby arrives. That's where postnatal care comes in, and it's just as vital. These checkups are all about making sure the mother is recovering, not just physically, but emotionally too, from, the massive experience of childbirth. Plus, it's a key time to keep an eye on the newborn's health.
Up to this point, we've really been focused on personal health and individual choices. But reproductive health is a much bigger picture. It involves some really tough global challenges, and we need to talk about one of the most critical ones, an issue that impacts millions of women and girls around the globe.
We're talking about female genital mutilation, or FGM. So what is it? FGM includes any procedure that intentionally alters or injures the female genital organs for reasons that are not medical. It's incredibly important to understand this is a practice rooted in cultural and traditional beliefs, not in any kind of health or medical need.
The practice itself is categorized into 4 main types, and they vary a lot in severity. It can range from the removal of some skin all the way to type 3, which is called infibulation. This is the most extreme form, where the vaginal opening is partially closed. As you can imagine, this leads to a lifetime of severe pain and major health complications, especially during childbirth.
So here's the bottom line. Global health organizations are unanimous on this. They completely condemn the practice. It's not just seen as medically detrimental, causing severe, lifelong physical and mental health issues. It is widely considered a violation of human rights. Full stop.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground, haven't we? We've gone from the biology inside our own bodies all the way to these huge, complex global issues. So after all that, what are the big takeaways? What should you really walk away with?
First off, it all starts with knowledge. Seriously, understanding your own body is the first, most powerful step you can take toward making empowered health decisions.
Second, access to family planning is a huge deal. The ability to choose if and when you have children isn't just about personal freedom. It's something that literally shapes individual lives and, on a larger scale, entire societies.
And finally, it's so important to remember that reproductive health isn't just personal. Our own health stories are connected to these massive global issues, like FGM, that absolutely require our collective attention and our action.
And that really leaves us with one final, big question to think about. Reproductive health is deeply, deeply personal, but its challenges, they have a massive social impact. So where do we draw the line? Where does individual